BJP's landslide victory in the Hindi heartland of MP, Chhattisgarh and Rajasthan. We heard the Prime Minister speaking just ahead of the winter session of the Parliament that kick-started today, will be ending on 22nd of December. He spoke about the progress made in the country. Remember, this is the last session of the Parliament before the general elections of 2024. My colleague Krishna Kumar joining us here with what has happened and unraveled itself in the form of the 5-state elections, the results barring Mizoram. It's a big win for the BJP and markets are currently reflecting that sentiment.
Absolutely, couldn't have put it better, Shweta. Markets rejoicing on BJP's win because let's face it, we here at News 9 Live have been calling it Mandate 2023 semi-finals for 2024.
That's right.
Markets are basically saying that we know the results of the finals. We've seen the semi-finals. It's a very thumping, obvious victory. Specifically when it comes to, yes, there is a state called Telangana, a high-value state, tons of revenues going in the hands of the Congress party. But when it comes to those final tally for the Lok Sabha, where are you going to get that tally where you will form the government in this country? In the Hindi heartland. How are you doing in UP? No questions asked. How well can you do in MP, Chhattisgarh and Rajasthan? Those questions were answered as of counting day yesterday. Let's begin with Madhya Pradesh. A state like Madhya Pradesh, over 160 seats to the BJP with a 5-time chief minister. This is the kind of anti-incumbency I think our Prime Minister Modi faces in Gujarat. You know, the only comparison point for Madhya Pradesh is Gujarat. But then again, lots went on when it comes to Madhya Pradesh because you're looking at a time when the Chief Minister Shweta was actually pulled back from the front lines of the campaign and sort of was hidden and then brought back into the limelight. But then all talk today is about Mama, as he's called in Madhya Pradesh. Mama winning because of the Ladli Behna scheme is what is being, is the analysis, the initial analysis, so to speak. But you've got to understand why are we talking about this? Because there's an overall trend of women voting for the BJP that has come out, across states, not just Madhya Pradesh. So Madhya Pradesh being a very clear example of a woman-centric scheme, being an important turning point, important key factor. So Madhya Pradesh, 160 plus seats, huge. But of course, the big shocker came in the form of Chattisgarh. Literally every exit poll handing it to the Congress party, but the BJP coming back 55 odd seats in Chattisgarh. Clear majority. Let's talk about this for a second. Chhattisgarh ho ya Rajasthan or MP, it's all clear thumping majorities, nothing close by. Rajasthan, I'm not talking about now because Rajasthan has got a Tamil Nadu phenomenon going. For the last 30 years, it has always voted out the party in power and that trend continues. This is something I like about the state of Rajasthan. That's what you're supposed to do with political parties, keep them on the edge. Don't tell them that like you're going to be here forever. But unfortunately, it hasn't worked in Rajasthan's favor, so to speak, in terms of how much development potential it's capable of and how much it's been tapped. But clearly, that faction fight between the Gehlot faction and the Sachin Pilot faction clearly hurting the Congress party in Rajasthan. But then Congress party will turn around and say, well, this was meant to be BJP's election. But bear in mind, they say BJP won despite their chief minister candidate of Vasundhara Raje Scindia instead of just being because of Vasundhara Raje. So in a sense that this sweep of the Hindi heartland by the BJP, clearly the markets are watching. And if they had any kind of doubts about 2024, those doubts have been erased. At least it's coming out very clearly when it comes to markets.
Krishna, I think, before you move on to Telangana and before we get some sort of a projection, now I don't know whether to trust exit polls or not, but before we come to Mizoram, and that is another verdict expected today, from the point of view of markets specifically, there were enough reports that came out ahead of the projections for FY24 general elections,
right,
with rating agencies across the board saying that if the BJP comes back to power in 2024, we could see an upside on the sensex going as high as 86,000 levels.
Right.
On the reverse, if the Congress was to come to power, we would look at a selling bloodbath for at least some period of time before markets come back to present levels. So, in your opinion, do you think markets have already factored in BJP coming to power with the rally that we are seeing in the semi-finals, as you stated? If on the back of 3 state victories, if markets are up 1.5%, is it a given that markets have expected and have given their sort of vote of confidence to BJP to come back in 2024?
Absolutely. The short answer to that question is that absolutely, there's no doubt about it. Because another factor over here in these 3 state elections is the Modi factor. I mean, that's been established without beyond any doubt, the face of Modi has worked wonders in Chhattisgarh. I mean that is just Modi, or the double engine Sarkar as it's called, Modi plus Shah combination. That factor has worked in these state elections. It's not just a question of Shivraj Singh Chauhan going and winning MP for them. The entire campaigning blitzkrieg of the Prime Minister and the Home Minister is clearly seen as a factor for that last minute turnaround in Chhattisgarh, which was almost going into the hands of Congress party. So from that perspective, who are we talking about? The people we're talking about, the brands we're talking about. These are the brands that will be on display come Lok Sabha election. So this is a vote of confidence for brand Modi and brand Shah.
And most astrologists and most analysts and most people watching the election very closely are saying that Modi is betting primarily on 3 factors right now. And these 3 factors again are very critical for India's economy per se, since we are on Business Plus. Women voters.
Yes.
Right. Women voters and women empowerment is one theme. Youth being the second theme, and OBC, scheduled caste, scheduled tribes. These 3 themes are what Prime Minister Modi is betting on.
Yes.
What sort of a correlation do you see between these 3 indicators or these 3 constituencies of Mr. Modi and their contribution to the economy? Because markets are definitely not looking at women empowerment only as empowerment and are not looking at OBCs and SC/STs. Youth, of course, I understand, companies want to employ educated youth, but OBCs, SC/STs and women participation, upliftment of women, how do you sort of correlate that with how markets and corporate India is looking at that story?
Well, I wouldn't correlate. I would say that markets and corporate India are looking at maintaining policy stances, stability, continuity. That's what they're looking at. And if you're looking at the initial projections, why is that when Congress comes, there is a fear of a bloodbath? It's got nothing intrinsically wrong with the Congress party coming and messing up with the economy. The point here is that Congress will come in and change everything that the BJP has done. New set of rules for tax, new set of rules for company filings, new set of rules for everything. What will Congress do to undo so many of the things that BJP has done just so that it can prove its own point? This is classic political rivalry that the markets are fearing. Because we know what happens in a political rivalry. I come from the state of Tamil Nadu, where DMK and ADMK are at loggerheads of each other, just the same way BJP and the Congress party are. And every single time the government changes, what used to happen if the DMK government falls, the ADMK government will come in and start changing the 20 things that the DMK implemented in the last 5 years. And so that is a natural, by the way, that's not specific to Tamil Nadu, that's what happens everywhere.
I mean, renaming not so much as changing.
Is that what we are seeing in Telangana? Coming back to yesterday's results, is that what we are seeing in Telangana? The anti-incumbency, Congress wanting to undo what the BRS has done in the state?
Right. One is the fact that you're looking at BRS, which has a 10-year incumbency over there, and Congress's the Congress is campaigning, essentially working, starting from Bharat Jodo Yatra's impact on Telangana to what has happened so far. It's a good turn. First of all, we're talking chalk and cheese. We're talking about the south of the Vindhyas. South of the Vindhyas, brand Modi and brand Shah don't really work the same way they work the north of the Vindhyas. Unfortunately, south of the Vindhyas does not have enough seats to stake a claim in the Lok Sabha. You winning in South India does not mean you can completely not win in South India and still form the government at the center.
That's right.
So Telangana becomes a separate case scenario, but the good thing for the Congress party is that they just won Karnataka, a high value state, and then now Telangana, a high value state. So the coffers of Congress party can be safe going forward. But will it be enough for them to win the election in 2024? I highly doubt it. But as far as the analysis goes, you're talking about OBCs, women and the youth. This is the plank, if you ask me, for 2024. It is tested out in these 2023 state elections. If this
strategy is working.
This strategy, if it works even better in 2024, forget about any other party coming to power. So this to me is the overall overarching strategy of Prime Minister Modi and the BJP and the Home Minister and the double engine Sarkar and the BJP. So this to me is not a state specific thing, so to speak, and probably this is what worked in a state like Chattisgarh.
So the pitch is laid for 2024 is what you're saying.
And we're calling it semi-finals for 2024.
How big a dent or otherwise is Mizoram result really going to make in anything in 2024 that we're likely to see?
Well, look, again, if you're discounting the South as not being able to impact the final government formation at the center, the Northeast has an even lesser claim when it comes to impacting government formation at the center. What is really worrying is that this India really splitting up into parts and voting in a different way, and how disconnected will the government at the center be from their hopes and aspirations from the rest of the country is a problem that we have to think about, especially with the fact that we're looking at a delimitation exercise in 2026. With this kind of a split, so to speak, happening, there is chance that the higher polarization and more conflicts emerging. Here's hoping that it's discussion and debate and not fear and conflict.
which is
All
what Prime
right.
Minister said, I think, in his
Discussion,
winter
debate,
session precursor
positivity
to the
as opposed to fear and conflict, and perhaps also alluding to the fact that this session is important. It's the last session ahead of the elections,
Right.
and hopefully some discussion will happen as opposed to simple boycott of the winter session. Thank you very much, Krishna, for all those details, for joining us on that very important story.